Hi, everyone. This is Brian Arcese, Portfolio Manager on the Foord International Fund and Foord Global Equity Fund in Singapore. Following on the podcast last week, where we chatted through our expectations for the then upcoming US elections, we wanted to speak again with you and talk through the results of those elections relative to our expectations, and then more importantly, the policy implications going forward. So first, to begin, what happened relative to expectations? As we highlighted last week, it was our belief that while it may take a number of days to ultimately determine who the winner of the election was, as each individual state worked through their count, it was our view that by the end of the week, we would be able to know definitively who the president-elect was. And it was our expectation, as well as the base case of the market, that Joe Biden would win the presidency. So over the weekend, Joe Biden was named president-elect. 47 of the 50 states in the US have been called, with Joe Biden winning 290 electoral college votes. Of the three remaining states, Georgia is likely to go to Joe Biden as well, which would bring him up to 306 electoral votes. But in any event, the 290 that he's currently won is more than enough to make him president-elect. What we did expect were that the margins between Biden and Trump to be wider than they ultimately were. It was our expectation, as well as that of the market, that Biden would win up to 55% of the popular vote. As things turn out, it seems that he has won or will win close to 51% of the popular vote. So certainly lower than our expectations, but again, not resulting in a change at all to who ultimately won the presidency. Now, secondly, control of the House. We expected the House to remain Democratic. It was Democratic going into the election. We expected it to remain so coming out on the other side, and that is what has happened. The Republicans have picked up a handful of seats in the House, but the Democrats remain firmly in control there. And then control of the Senate. We had expectations that the Democrats would be able to have control of the Senate coming out of this election, though the probability that we placed on that was significantly lower than the probability we placed on Joe Biden winning the presidency. So as it stands today, we still don't know which party will control the Senate. 50 seats are likely to be in Republican hands, at least, with 2 remaining to be called, and Republicans having already won 48. So of the other remaining 50 seats, 48 are currently in Democratic hands, and 2 remain outstanding, both of which are in the state of Georgia. So in Georgia, if neither candidate in a given race receives 50% of the vote, then that particular race goes to a runoff. And that's exactly what's happening for the 2 Senate races that are currently ongoing in Georgia. So those runoffs will take place during the first week of January. And so it's not until that first week of January that we'll know who ultimately controls the Senate. Why this is the most important piece going forward is that if Democrats end up in control of the Senate, they will then control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, which will give Joe Biden and the party the ability to put forth significantly more sweeping regulatory changes, tax increases, for example, and to put forward larger infrastructure spending plans and stimulus plans. If the Republicans end up controlling the Senate, then you end up with a divided government in the US. Well, things will move forward. The policies that Democratic president, Democratic House will be able to pass will be significantly curtailed. So if you look at what Joe Biden will be able to do, likely by executive order early on, we do expect him to change some immigration laws in the US, open up America's borders again, COVID notwithstanding, to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, to rejoin the World Health Organization, and to restart cooperation with America's allies. We do expect that Joe Biden's trade policy won't change materially from Trump, though we don't expect a significant escalation. So we don't expect new tariffs, for example, but we don't expect tariffs to be walked back without a good reason. We do expect that technology, artificial intelligence, directionally, Biden will have the same concerns about China that were evident under a Trump presidency. But importantly, an escalation of trade tensions is significantly less likely. And then finally, on spending plans, first on a stimulus as it relates to COVID, we do expect that a Democratic plan in a full sweep could be close to $2.5 trillion. But if the Republicans end up in control of the Senate, that plan may be smaller and closer to $1 trillion. And then similarly, on the infrastructure side, in the case of a Democratic sweep, we may see infrastructure spending on a 4-year view at $2 trillion plus. But if, again, Republicans end up controlling the Senate, then that infrastructure plan may be cut in half and closer to $1 trillion. As I chatted about last week, and as we always mention to our clients, it's very important to us that we run portfolios where we aren't making 0-1 bets. And I think as evidenced today, with how much is riding on control of the Senate, that single event from a regulatory and policy standpoint, it's important that we're building portfolios that are resilient in either scenario. So we continue to focus on finding companies that will not only survive, but thrive under either scenario. With that, we look forward to seeing the outcome of those Senate races in January, and we look forward to chatting with you all again soon. Thank you.